What's up, everybody? My name is Victor, and welcome to my YouTube page, which is all about helping people navigate their awakening process. And today's video is going to reveal 3 different tips that I've learned along the way that will help control your emotions. Now, there's a few different reasons why your emotions are so potent right now because you're awakening. One of them is that the awakening itself is forcing to the surface repressed emotions, so you can directly experience them and just experience them within your waking consciousness. Now, a repressed emotion, usually, because it's been repressed, is a potent emotion, an emotion that when it initially happened to you, whether it's in this life or even a previous life, you did not want to experience it because it was so overwhelming. So we stuffed them, we repressed them. But just because we force them out of the perspective of our waking conscious mind does not mean they're not there, does not mean they're not with us energetically, even physically. But the awakening is forcing them to the surface, these uncomfortable and dense and big emotions. Secondly, you are becoming more expansive. Your consciousness is expanding, so you're able to see more of the emotions. You're just experiencing them on a greater, grander, richer level. So the already difficult emotions that you once had repressed are now here, and you're experiencing it more potently than ever. Thirdly, this experience, this really hard, challenging experience, it creates you immediately, without even really trying, it's an automatic thing. You create definitions of what's happening. You start labeling it, judging it, oftentimes resisting it. And therefore, you're kind of creating new sets of emotions that reflect your resistance and desire to not feel these overly potent emotions on these deep levels that are just kind of bombarding you. So it's this trifecta of emotional madness that you're dealing with a lot, and not just once in a while, here and there. It's like sometimes on a daily basis, you can go through these experiences multiple times per day. It's a very challenging, rough ride with your emotions. That's why I wanted to make this video, because I've really come to a peace with them, and I know these 3 things are going to help you guys a lot, okay? One of them is I'm going to give you a specific meditation I do. Now, the essence of meditation, as I mentioned in other videos, is to become more present, more grounded, more detached from your thoughts, less identified with them, which creates that emotion. That's when you identify with your thoughts, that's when you get the emotional response to whatever you are identifying with. Meditation helps you distance yourself, your true self, your consciousness from this incessant stream of thoughts that is constantly going through your mind. But this particular meditation, I call this the allowance meditation. And this is where I just simply sit down in my meditative position and I observe my thoughts. I don't try to think thoughts. I don't will the thoughts. I just observe them. But I also, whatever comes up, whatever thought comes up, whatever emotion comes up, and if you sit for a little while, you'll notice things just kind of come up. I allow them. I allow them. You're going to find once you start to intentionally allow these thoughts and feelings, you'll realize how often you resist them. How you do, I don't like that one. No, but you just have to keep reminding yourself to allow. And every time something comes up that you would normally resist and you choose, because you're conscious and you choose to allow it, there's a little bit of a sinking and relaxing and falling into the deeper meditative state. And then this allowance becomes easier and easier and easier. And you're kind of ingraining a very valuable, enlightened type of habit, which is the art of allowance. And then you can apply that into your life. When situations come up that normally you just get stuck to, identified with, emotional upheaval with, you have this thing, this wheel spinning in your mind that's reminding you to allow. Number 2 is to accept them. To understand that even though this video, the title is almost a little bit misleading, because I can't tell you how to control your emotions. What I can tell, because that's a futile endeavor. You're not going to ever control your emotions. In fact, ironically, the desire, the will to control your emotions, by definition, perpetuates emotions. So it's like a never-ending cycle. The Buddha even said, the root of suffering is desire, the human will. Our minds, our egos are always willing, wanting, trying, attempting something. And by definition of trying or willing, that's kind of like willing ourselves out of the moment. We're not accepting the moment. We're willing into a future moment. We're not accepting the moment as it is, which creates emotions that reciprocate our resistance to the moment. So accept that you have these emotions. You're not going to be able to ever control them. You just have to accept them. Accept that while you're a human being, at least for a while, as we purge them all out of our being, you're going to quite frequently have these emotions, these really uncomfortable emotions present. But ultimately, it is your willing of them not to be there that causes the really intense suffering. You could function quite well even with all these emotions circulating and floundering in your consciousness. By accepting them, there's space. And this tip kind of goes along with the acceptance. It's ignore them. Because again, you can't control them. You just have to choose to go on about your life in spite of these emotions that are very out of balance and heavy and intense and come and go randomly to varying degrees. You can't just say, okay, I'm having a good day and I really hope it goes this way. I feel very clear, I feel very calm, and I just hope these bad emotions never come back. That you're setting yourself up for misery. Okay, you just have to accept that. Don't get attached to when you're feeling absent of them, and don't get all flustered when they come. Accept and ignore them. Just go on about your day. Be who you know yourself to be. I say it a lot, but it's usually the key to almost any situation. Be that person regardless of how you feel. Thirdly, meditate. You have to become more meditative, okay? I went through a period because I'm so rebellious that I was like, I felt like so spiritual that I didn't have to meditate because I knew I was able to be more present than almost anybody I've ever met in my entire life without even needing to meditate. So I was very haughty and cocky about it. But that stance of mine is obviously not very wide because I could always be more present. And the more present I can be, which you can become more present by taking the time and dedicating yourself to cultivating presence with meditation. But the more present I can be, the better life I can have. Even if I'm shining brighter than a lot of the people I know, it doesn't mean shit. It doesn't mean anything. What really matters is shining as bright as we possibly can. And if you're not really actively participating in making yourself able to shine brighter, be more present, then you're kind of you're selling yourself short and you're selling the world short. You came here to be the youest you could possibly imagine, not to be slightly above the middle ground of people. So be the youest you. Dedicate time to cultivating stillness and meditation in the meditative state. This is not going to just happen on its own. You're not going to just slip into the meditative state. You have to go for it. You all are on the path to mastery, but this is a road that requires a lot of work, a lot of participation on your part.